double importance of those names is that they're all significant names, not just for Augusta history, not just for Georgia history, but in the case of Silas Floyd or C.T. Walker or Lucy Craft Laney, they transcend Georgia history. They had a national platform. So here we are in Augusta, Georgia. Over half the schools are named for African Americans. And these African Americans all contributed in some way, shape, or form. Now, Silas Floyd was one of those unique individuals. He was a man who wore, Mike, I don't know how he wore so many different hats during his lifetime. He was an educator. He was an administrator. He was a poet. He was an author. He was a historian. He was the founder of a newspaper column. He was the second pastor of the historic Tabernacle Baptist Church in Augusta. He became very close friends with the Reverend C.T. Walker, who's the founder of Tabernacle Baptist Church. So Floyd did so much. And I wanna call to your attention one specific thing that he did that we can sort of flesh out and talk a little bit more. But Floyd did something that at the time obviously was done in part because of the Jim Crow statutes that Southern society was living under. Actually, American society was just more codified in the South. But Floyd became the founder and editor of a weekly column in the Augusta Chronicle newspaper called Notes Among the Colored. And this started in 1915 and lasted in some variation for the next 50 years.
Notes Among the Colored?
Yeah, so that was sort of the original name, Mike, but it went by different names throughout the years. So sometimes it was called News Among the Colored, and then they obviously replaced colored with Negro at some point or another. But for research purposes, for someone like myself, or even someone like you, Mike, who want maybe Mike, one day you want to do a deep dive into your family history. You know, maybe you want to do a deep dive into Mother Trinity CME Church, for example. You can go to the online archives of the Augusta Chronicle and just plug in certain keywords, and it's going to pull up all the data you need from Notes Among the Colored. Names that have been forgotten in Augusta's past. Those names will once again come alive for you. Floyd was everywhere, and he maintained this column from 1915 until his death in 1923. He died 2 years after his best buddy, C.T. Walker, who died in 1921. Floyd died in 23. And during that time frame, Mike, he crafted this column to allow people to understand the multi-layered community that he lived in. See, what I want people to understand about not just Augusta's Black community, but other cities as well, in spite of legal segregation, these African American communities not just survived in many instances, but they were able to sustain themselves at a level that was pretty, it showed a level of accomplishment. There were so many Black businesses in the area, and Floyd wrote about those businesses. He talked about the nationally renowned Pilgrim Health and Life Insurance Company. Floyd wrote about the preeminent theater that your parents and grandparents probably talked to you about, the Lenox Theater. He talked about the Burris Sanitarium. Yeah, there was a Black hospital in Augusta. He talked about the Penny Savings and Loan Bank. Yes, there was a Black bank in Augusta. Black theater, Black insurance company, Black bank, Black hospital, Black schools, Black churches. Despite Jim Crow, these neighborhoods were able to coalesce, come together, and work for the betterment of their race, despite what the United States said their place was.